Universe. My name is Kelsey.
And I'm Kaylee.
And we're here to talk about mental health. 1 in 5 Canadians will experience a mental illness
In their lifetime. And the other 4 will know people who do. Or if you're looking at us, 2 out of 2 will experience and know people who do.
So we'd like to talk about how mental illnesses are portrayed as being, out for someone. A lot of people look at them as if they're fake.
Just that it's fake, or that you're putting on airs for attention or to seem like you fit in, which is a weird phase. Everyone wants to be like depressed or on medication, which works for some but not for everyone.
Everyone kind of goes through that phase where like, oh, it's a cool thing to do, or
cutting so badass.
Yeah, like
it's self-harm.
If it's they've seen it from a friend or a sibling, or maybe a parent takes medication. So it's not just for attention. It's not for attention at all. If someone has a mental illness...
Legitimate mental illness is not for attention. Yes, let's say it like that. Because there are certainly some people who will pretend, which is stupid and actually kind of offensive.
Yes.
So don't pretend you have a mental illness. And if you do have to for a school play or something, please look it up. But we'll discuss that etiquette and how to decide and how to approach someone with it in a different video. Because right now we're dimming.
We're dimming.
Yes.
We're dimming our iPad here.
Our iPad. Ooh, looking at it every other week.
Looking at our notes here. So there's many different combinations and varieties of disorders and illnesses that people can suffer from. Sorry,
I'm just going to cut in. You don't necessarily have to have multiple people who are mentally ill. You don't necessarily have a bunch of different things, or sometimes it'll be sort of a comorbid condition where it's it's a little interrelated, like it is as a standalone thing. It can be considered one thing, but in relation to something else, it all kind of
fits together. Yes. And so, what are some types of mental illnesses?
Well, there's ones that everyone thinks of, like paranoid schizophrenia. There are, from what I've gathered, various different manifestations of schizophrenia. Would that be a good way of putting it?
I believe so, yeah.
Schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, which is one that a lot of people are not diagnosed as when they actually have borderline personality disorder. They're put on treatment for bipolar, which is not good. Misdiagnosis is actually quite common.
Different types of mental illnesses.
All right.
We got a little off track there.
Yeah.
So another one is like Asperger's, Alzheimer's, which some people don't think of, that people suffer from as they age.
That is true. Or not just sometimes those early onset, so you're not necessarily old.
Some other examples are anxiety disorders, eating disorders such as bulimia and anorexia.
So you can say it.
Or lesser known ones, which we'll get to in another video.
Oh, there's also stuff like Tourette's, which also, there's Tourette's, and there's depression.
There's depression, yes.
Oh, that's another thing that affects mental illness, is substance dependence.
Yes.
Which we will touch on in a different time. Not everyone who has substance dependence issues is mentally ill, and not everyone who is mentally ill is addicted to something.
And it's said that about 20% of people with a mental disorder suffer also from substance abuse or substance addiction of some sort.
Yes. And on that note, that leads us into our other thing that I completely forgot what our other thing was. What is our other thing? Treatment methods. A lot of the time substance like addiction is used as a coping method, or it's also in the case of someone such as myself who suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder. Once you get it in your head, you cannot not do it, or else you end up with issues, which is why some of us are predisposed to disorders. I meant addiction, I said disorders. And yeah, but there are a variety of different treatment methods, and not all work for everyone, and not everyone wants everything.
Yes. Depending on the person, certain treatments will work better if it's, talking to a counselor or psychiatrist, if it's medication, if it's, some people don't even do that, although it's recommended that you do. And so going on with treatment, it's also only about 1/3 of people actually seek treatment for the mental disorder. And so it's really encouraged, if you're having any issue, to go directly to your doctor and talk about it.
Even if you're not having an issue.
And they can recommend a treatment plan for you, or they can get you just set on the right path, and they can talk to you about it and hopefully, you know, make things a little easier on you.
And even if you don't have a mental illness, seeking therapy for just to go is really, really good for getting in touch with yourself. Because we are all secretly hippies at heart.
It can also be handy if you know someone who's suffering.
Yes!
To talk to someone about it and try and understand how you can help them cope, how you can talk to them, you know, what you should and shouldn't say.
Taller than you are.
So you know, it's really handy. I know with me trying to figure out how to cope with my mental illness, you know, it's been tricky. You know, people weren't sure how to act around me. They weren't sure what to say. So it can be really helpful. You knew what to say, Kaylee.
I did know.
Because
I'm
crazy too. So that's just one thing to touch on too.
And at any point, if you know someone who has something, again, we'll cover this more in our etiquette video, but asking them or letting them know that you're, not that you're so much uncomfortable with being around them, but you're uncomfortable with how to approach it. People are often, it's better to ask than to either ignore it entirely, which unless the person, that is what they would prefer, or just to just go out there, like, or to assume. You never ever assume anything about anyone's mental illness or how it correlates or how it affects their life, because it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like the severity of any illness. It's a spectrum, and I think we have a lot of footage right now.
And one more important thing is, if someone even hints towards thinking that they might have a, you know, disability of some sort, mental illness, disorder, what have you, if they even mention it in passing, encourage them to get help, because if they didn't think they didn't have a problem, they probably wouldn't, you know,
No.
go ahead and, they wouldn't go ahead and say, you know, I have a problem.
Yes. It's a problem if it's affecting their life. Is a big thing, because a lot of times, like, people be like, oh, I am so clean, I am obsessive compulsive. In all likelihood, you probably aren't. You're just clean. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But if they feel that it is becoming a hindrance, then encourage help. Oh, and suicide, if anybody ever thinks of suicide or mentions it, always take it seriously, even if you think they are joking. And there are a variety of helplines, which will put in our little box, along with where we found some of our facts. Some of them are just out of our heads or from our doctors or whatever. But in general, it'll all be in our box, which is,
yeah, we'll have
links
down there, down in the
pants.
Down in the pants.
Pants. That's what we're calling it. It's our pants.
They're down in our pants.
We have answers in our pants. It's like ants.
So I think that about covers it. Anything else you can think of for introduction? Yep. So hopefully that helps somewhat, and we'll have more videos to come.
Yep.
So, high five.
Bye.
We did this. Bye.